Hi guys. So it's still Tuesday morning. We went and ran and did our deliveries that we had to do. We were gonna continue working, go to the homeless coalition, but it's gonna be hot, so no. So I'm gonna stay home today because my work with the homeless that I do is all like volunteer stuff, but whatever. Okay. Anyways, moving on. When I started using, I was in my late 20s. I grew up in Raymond, New Hampshire. Like, our thing was spiced up cars, jacked up cars. They called us, or the guys gearheads. We hung out at the shopping center. When I was a teenager, we went out four-wheeling, we did bonfires and drank. The people that smoked this stuff were all uptown, and they were considered I don't want to get too close up and personal, but my room's a mess. And I got my curtains clipped shut because the sun's right there, and I don't want it getting hot in my room and outdoing my AC. Anyways, I'm explaining way too much. So, the people that smoked this stuff were considered the druggies, and they hung uptown at what we called the Common. We weren't allowed there. Like, nobody's parents wanted their kids going there. Anyways, that's how it was back in where I grew up. So for me to end up a heroin addict, living on the streets was like, what, so my addiction never started until I was in my late 20s. I got real sick. I was pregnant. I was in a bad relationship at the time. My OBGYN thought I kept losing weight. My OBGYN, with me losing weight, thought it was because of the stress of the man I was with. He decided to tell me after I got pregnant, because he was a lot older than me, and we wanted to have a kid together. He decided after I got pregnant to tell me how disgusting he thought a pregnant woman was. So anyways, she thought my weight loss, me not sleeping, was stress, because she knew what was going on at home. He never came to one of my OBGYN appointments. She's, doctors aren't stupid. They're regular people, So anyways, I ended up having my daughter early. My water broke. She was 9 weeks early. My water broke because my blood pressure skyrocketed. She was born a healthy, thriving little girl. I can't deliver natural. We found that out with my first. So I had a scheduled C-section and didn't make it to that. They did the emergency C-section at the time. There was a lot of other things that went into play there, but whatever. I wasn't using then. So I got diagnosed finally with Graves' disease. And at this point, I'm toxic because nobody diagnosed me. You know who told me? Actually who diagnosed me was my dad. He came to see me on his way home from work because my mother had told him that I was very sick. He looked at me and he said, your eyes. He always told me I looked like his mother. His mother died when he was 9 years old. But he said to me, your eyes look just like the last memory I have of my mother. You need to get checked for your thyroid. Well, come to find out, it was Graves' disease. That's what his mother, eventually died from, was cancer of the thyroid. And back then they didn't have what they have now. But anyways, so I got diagnosed. Well, this is when the FDA released the OC. It was a miracle drug. It was the miracle pill for pain, but the doctors were giving it out to everybody. They gave it to me before I got diagnosed. They were giving it to me for pain. They were giving me 280 milligrams a day for forever. And when I got it, I finally could get my cleaning done. I wasn't sluggish. My cleaning was my big thing, and I did it no matter what. And even my C-section with my daughter, I had abscesses. I got infected, my scars, because my incisions, because I can't just sit back. I think if a blanket isn't folded on my couch, my house is in disarray. That's how I used to be, okay? I am still like this a little bit, but not to that extreme. So anyways, they gave me the Oxycontin. Well, now the man I was with at the time had introduced me to a lot of different things. Not blaming him for my actions, but so we had a guy that we were trading those for the white powder, and we were hard stuff. We were doing it ourselves, cooking ourselves. So anyways, I decided I liked the pills first, the little blue things, or they weren't blue, not the 30s. These were the OC. I decided I liked those better than the other stuff because I was trading for that stuff. Well, the guy liked those, and he knew at this point that they had cut me down. Now the FDA, back up a little bit, the FDA had come to, stop the doctors from giving them out so easily. So, they were like, hey, these were made for terminally ill patients. You guys are getting, this is synthetic H, whatever. They shut down, stop the doctors from being able to give it out so easily. So my doctor shut me from 280s a day with breakthrough pain meds also on top of those 280s. He cut me to 110 a day, 10 milligram a day with no breakthrough. I was fucking sick. Now I'm thinking, I'm sick with my disease, my Graves' disease. No, that wasn't what it is. I know now. But anyways, the guy that I was trading the white powder for said, hey, back then I'm old. I'm aging myself again. The prescriptions were on a piece of paper. They gave them to you. You went to wherever you wanted to get them filled. He's like, this is what you do. You change that 1 to a 4. And then 40 milligrams. I did it many times. I got caught for 4. So my first time ever getting in trouble, and here I am. Went to prison. Well, first they put me on probation. I got on probation. They told me I had to get clean. I got clean. I stayed clean for 18 months. 9/11 hit. My 9/11 happened, and my PO got, he was in the military, so he got sent over there. Deployed over there. So I'm like, I'm in free in the clear. I can party one weekend, with the white stuff. I'll party. Yeah, that didn't happen. So I gave 2 dirty urines in 1 month. They gave me 2 to 4 years in prison. Now, before my court date for the violation, I'm like, if I get clean, I'll be fine. So I went to a program, a detox. I told my mother what was going on. I told my father. I had never seen my father cry so hard when I showed him my arms. So, yeah. I didn't know what I was doing, so my arms were a mess. So, anyways, so I went to a program, a detox, and my father and mother told the guy I was with at the time, told him, you need to go to a detox too. We're going to find you a detox. You guys both go to detox. We'll get all your bills up to date for your house, your business, whatever, because we had a garage at the time, and that's the only way this is going to work. Well, he didn't go. So I'm like, we're done. I met my husband now in detox. Yeah. So, this is part 1 because I can't keep going on like this. So there'll be a part 2 to me thinking the judge is kidding. Like, even for months after being in prison. Oh, they're going to let me out now. She's going to go, did you learn your lesson? Anyways, part 2. Stay tuned. Peace out. Have a great day.